He sat so close that every breath he drew felt like a confession pressed into my skin, and he didn't move. I freeze halfway through washing dishes, the scent of lemon and the hum of distant traffic anchoring me to this half-lit kitchen. It's ordinary, banal, the rhythm of water against porcelain, steady, safe. But then he slides onto the stool and the air shifts. His thigh touches mine, a whisper, and something inside me tightens, lashes out. I'm acutely aware of the warmth of his presence. His shirt brushing against my bare arm, the quiet exhale of his breath as if he's holding a secret. I realize I'm gripping the edge of the counter, knuckles whitening. This is no accident. He leaned in the moment I turned, the knife still in my hand, unfinished bruschetta forgotten on the cutting board. I'd felt it before I saw him, an eruption of proximity in the middle of something mundane. And once I noticed, there was no going back. I should step away. My mind rattles with reminders. He's just a coworker, just a friend, just someone I never meant to see like this. I tell myself this, but my heart doesn't listen. It's dizzy, suspended between denial and something dangerously intimate. His voice is soft, anchored, my name uttered so low I'm not sure I heard it, but no, I did. It reverberates through me. I glance sideways. He's closer than ever. The space between us is a thin veil of threat and promise. And he stays. Doesn't flinch. Doesn't pull away. I can feel the pulse behind his ear, vibrating like a secret drum I'm afraid to hear in full. Even though he's still, the tension is motion, liquid fire lapping at the walls I've built around myself. There's always been pay dirt in our friendship, an unacknowledged spark. But curiosity, that cunning little flame, has been fed by our laughter, stolen glances, the brush of his hand when handing me coffee. Moments I've buried as my imagination's playground. Now there's no burying it. The spaces are collapsing. I taste cedar and something soft on his skin. I breathe in. He breathes. The hush deepens, but I'm screaming inside. I want to look at his face, find reassurance. But what do I hope to see there? Permission? Desire? Morality twisting itself under the weight of want? I hesitate because if I look and recognize the glint there, my world will shift. I could fall so completely. And then before I can decide what to do, my phone buzzes sharply on the counter's edge, shattering the moment. My heart slams back into both senses. My hand trembles as I reach for the screen. The glow of the message flickers across his profile. I glance up, caught too late. He's leaning forward and his gaze meets mine, unblinking, smoldering. And suddenly I am desperate for what I can't yet name. The silence after the buzz is louder than the noise it made. I pretend to check the message. It's just a delivery notification. Meaningless. But my fingers stay on the phone a second too long. A lifeline to normalcy I can't quite grip. He hasn't moved. Not an inch. And that somehow says more than words ever could. I can feel his gaze, heavy and calm, like he knows exactly what he's doing. Or worse, that he doesn't, and this moment is as accidental as it is electric. But I don't believe that. I've seen the way he looks at me when he thinks I'm not watching. The stillness in him now isn't uncertainty. It's intention. You okay? He asks, voice just a murmur. But it slides over my skin like warm water. I nod, not trusting my voice. He could have moved. He should have moved. But he didn't. And somehow I didn't either. I rinse the last glass in slow motion. The kitchen light is soft, golden, and flickers gently like a candle might in a dream. I can feel the shape of his body behind me, not touching but near, so near. I tell myself this is just a moment. A weird charged coincidence. A fluke. But then he speaks again. You always get quiet when you're overthinking, he says with a grin in his voice. It's kind of adorable. I feel it. His elbow brushing mine again, firmer this time. Not a nudge. Not playful. Something steadier. Claim maybe. I turn my head slightly. You always sit this close in other people's kitchens? His smile is unapologetic. Only when I want to. There it is. Clear. Unflinching. That terrifying, thrilling honesty I didn't expect. My heart stutters. I want to laugh it off, make a joke. Say something deflective. But my mouth is dry. My mind is a whirl of every split-second decision I might make. Each one leading somewhere different. I dry my hands slowly, deliberately. I feel heat radiating from him, and I swear, when I reach past him to grab a towel, my hip brushes his knee. And neither of us pretends it didn't happen. My breath catches. His does too. He says my name again. Quiet. Measured. But this time it's not a question. It's an invitation. The truth? I thought about this once or twice. Maybe more. I'd imagine what it might feel like if we let go of the rules we never spoke aloud. But it was always fantasy. Safe. Tucked away. Never meant for daylight or dishwater, or the middle of a normal evening in my stupid little apartment kitchen. But now we're here. And nothing about this feels ordinary. I turn to face him fully. The air between us tightens. His legs are still spread slightly, his hands resting on his thighs, fingers splayed like he's trying to stay calm. He looks up at me from the stool, the kitchen's soft light catching the sharp edge of his jaw, the curl of his lip. If you don't want me this close, he begins, voice low. Just say it. A challenge. Or a kindness. Or both. But I don't say it. Because I don't want him to move. Because this closeness feels like the start of something I've been circling for months. Because suddenly, the way he's looking at me makes it hard to remember what saying no would even sound like. It's maddening, how close we are without touching. As if our skin is speaking in a language older than speech. His breath brushes my cheek like a dare. And for a second I forget how to stand still. Neither of us moves. The world outside this kitchen. Its rules, its consequences, the names of people who might get hurt, fades into a hush I can't hear anymore. All I can feel is this. This dizzy gravity pulling me forward and holding me back at the same time. My chest rises slower now, each inhale deliberate. I wonder if he can feel the heat between us, the kind that doesn't just live on skin, it burrows deeper. He licks his lips and my eyes follow traitorously. I don't mean to, God, I don't mean to, but something about that small gesture makes me ache in a place I haven't let myself feel in years. He notices. Of course he does. You're playing with fire, I whisper. He smiles without softness. No. I'm just tired of pretending I don't feel the sparks. His words drop like stones in a still pond, no going back now. I feel them ripple through every part of me. And suddenly, I'm back in all those moments I dismissed. The late night calls that ran too long. The way his hand lingered an extra second on my back last week. How his gaze always found me in a crowded room like a secret we shared. All of it, reframed in the amber glow of now. My hand brushes the countertop behind him, and I lean in slightly, letting the space between us grow unbearably small. The scent of him fills me, cedarwood, warmth, and something deeper, like rain hitting hot pavement. He shifts on the stool. Not away. Closer. You know this isn't fair. I murmur, though my voice betrays me. It sounds breathless, like I'm already halfway across a line I swore I'd never cross. He looks up at me with something raw in his eyes. Desire, yes, but something gentler beneath it. Something like longing. You think I haven't thought about this 1,000 times? He says. About what it'd be like to just stop pretending? I swallow. The air is thick now. The kitchen's warmth seems to gather in my spine, under my collarbone, behind my knees. My fingers twitch at my side. I shouldn't, I whisper. I know. And you shouldn't. I know that too. But still we don't move. It's unbearable, this in-between. Too much and not enough. My body hums with anticipation, as if it knows something is about to happen, and can't decide whether to flee or fall into it completely. Then he does something so small, and yet it shatters me. He reaches for my hand. Just lightly. His fingertips grazing mine. No rush. No pressure. Just that first devastating brush of skin. My fingers curl before I can stop them. It's like being touched after a lifetime of hunger. And I realize how much I've wanted this. Not just the moment, but him. Not just the heat, but the way he sees me when I'm pretending no one does. Our fingers lace. Slowly. Intentionally. And that's when I hear the soft sound of a door creaking open. Not from us. Not from this room. The creak of the door doesn't echo, but it lands. Sharp. Immediate. Like the sound of a match being struck in a room full of gasoline. Our hands are still joined, fingers tangled in the most deliberate of mistakes. But now the kitchen is no longer a sanctuary. It's a stage. And we've forgotten to draw the curtain. I turn sharply, instinct tightening every muscle in my body. His hand falls from mine, slow, almost reluctant. His face shifts, still calm but alert. Listening. Waiting. Did you hear that? I whisper, barely audible. He nods once. The hallway closet, maybe. I try to laugh it off, but the sound is too thin, too hollow. I feel like a teenager caught in the middle of something I don't have the language for yet. My heart is hammering now, for a different reason. Guilt? Panic? Or maybe the fragile awareness that we've just cracked something open that can't be hidden again. But then silence. We wait. 5 seconds. 10. Nothing. I exhale, trying to ground myself. It could have been the building settling. Or a breeze through the vents. A sound I've heard 100 times but never noticed until I had something to lose. I reach for a glass of water, more for the anchor than the thirst. He watches me. Eyes narrowed. Still unreadable, but not indifferent. There's tension there. A wire pulled tight, humming. I should go, he says quietly, like it's not the first time he's told himself that tonight. But he doesn't stand. Doesn't make a move toward the door. Instead, he studies me. And I study him back, seeing the war in his shoulders, the way his fingers flex once on his thigh, then curl inward like he's gripping the edge of control. I know that feeling too well. I'm wearing it. You're not going, I murmur before I can think better of it. He raises a brow. A slow, amused smirk follows. But there's a question in his silence. A challenge. One I shouldn't answer but do. I don't want you to, I admit. There. Said. Unrevoked. He leans forward slightly, elbows on his knees. Tell me why. I bite the inside of my cheek. There are a dozen reasons I could offer. I could say I'm lonely. I could say I've had a hard week. I could pretend this is about needing comfort. But none of that would explain the way my skin still remembers the shape of his fingers. Or the way my thoughts spin wildly in his presence, like they've been unchained. I don't know, I lie. He hums low. Not calling me out, just letting the lie sit between us. Can I tell you something? He asks. I nod, pulse quickening. That first time I saw you in that red sweater weeks ago, I couldn't look away. You were laughing, I think. Something about a dumb joke I made. But your face. You looked like someone who knew how to make people fall in love with her without trying. My breath catches. He looks up at me now, straight into me. And I did. Just a little. That day. The confession hits like heat. Slow. Spreading. Not just in my chest but lower. Deeper. That place where wanting lives quietly until someone speaks to it in the right voice. I don't answer. I can't. Instead I step forward. Just one step. But it closes the distance. His eyes darken. Not with danger but with something more dangerous, understanding. Recognition. Desire held in check. I want to kiss you, he says softly. My lips part. But before I can say yes or no or anything, his phone buzzes against the countertop. Once. Loud. And again. He pulls away just enough to glance at it. And the name on the screen? It's her. Her name glows from the screen like a warning flare in the night. Emily. I don't need a last name. I don't need context. That name has been in the background for months, tossed into conversation lightly, like it meant nothing. My friend Emily, he'd say. Or, Emily and I are going to that concert. Always casual. Always safe. The way someone talks about a part of their life they assume you'll never question. I didn't. Until now. He stares at the phone for a beat too long, then silences it without a word. You're still seeing her, I say quietly. It's not an accusation. It's just the truth, spoken into air that suddenly feels a little colder. He doesn't deny it. That hurts more than if he had. I didn't think this would happen, he says, eyes down, voice low. Tonight. With you. Didn't think what would happen? I ask even though I already know. I want to hear him say it. I want the honesty even if it breaks something. He looks up. That I'd get this close to doing something I can't take back. The words land with weight. Not because they're cruel but because they're real. And it makes everything we've done up to this point feel impossibly fragile. Like a crystal dropped into warm water, beautiful and doomed in the same breath. I step back. Just enough to breathe again. Just enough to think. This isn't just about me. Or him. It's about the shadow of someone else standing between us now, suddenly visible in the glow of a buzzing phone. And yet, despite the mess, despite the guilt, I don't feel angry. I feel something worse. I feel wanted. Not like a mistake. Not like a regret, but like someone he spent nights thinking about, trying not to text, holding back from touching. And now he's here at the edge of restraint, breaking a rule he helped write. Why didn't you tell me? I ask. He exhales hard. Because if I said it out loud, it would make this real. And I was trying to protect everyone from what this could become. My voice catches. And what is this? He hesitates, then answers barely above a whisper. The thing I think about when I'm with her. Should make me recoil. Run. Close the door and turn off the lights and pretend this moment never happened. But all it does is make me ache. Because I know that feeling. I felt it. With him. I don't want to be a secret, I whisper. He steps forward, closing the space I just created. You never were. That's the problem. I should push him away. Tell him this isn't fair. That real love doesn't look like this. But I'm already too far in. Not because of tonight, but because of everything before tonight. The slow drip of affection that turned into a flood. The glances. The hesitations. The invisible thread we kept tugging on, pretending it didn't mean anything. He reaches out. Doesn't touch me, just hovers there, waiting. I want to do this right, he says. But if I kiss you now, I won't be able to stop. My throat tightens. There's silence. Pure. Heavy. Waiting. And then I take his hand again. This time without hesitation. But just as our fingers interlock, his phone buzzes again. And this time a message appears on the lock screen. Emily. Are you with her? Are you with her? 4 words. That's all it takes. They sit there on his screen like a knife laid gently on the table. Not cutting yet, but capable of everything. My stomach turns. Not with shame. Not even fear. But with the realization that we were never as hidden as we thought. He stares at the message like it's a puzzle he can't solve. And I know that look. I've seen it before, when he's trying to fix something without breaking it further. But some things don't bend. Some things snap. She knows, I say. He doesn't respond. Doesn't move. His jaw flexes once tightly. And I can see it, how much he wishes he could pause this moment, stretch it out into something safe, something untouched by consequence. But the truth has already arrived, and it didn't knock. I step back slowly this time. You need to go. He meets my eyes. And I see something I didn't expect. Not regret. Not fear. But longing. Still. I don't want to, he says. Quiet. Devastating. And suddenly I feel the tension shift. Not disappear but evolve. Like we've crossed some hidden threshold where everything is exposed, and the desire impossibly is still there. Stronger even for being forbidden. Then why are you with her? I ask, my voice shaking not from anger, but from how badly I need the answer. He exhales like he's been holding that question in his lungs for months. Because she's good. Kind. She's never given me a reason to leave. He pauses. But she's not. You. The words should infuriate me. But they don't. They just fracture me a little more. Because I know what it's like to be with someone who's perfect on paper, while your soul is still searching in another direction. I'm not asking you to leave her, I say. I'm asking you to be honest. His eyes soften. This is the most honest I've been in months. I turn toward the sink. I need something to hold on to. Something that isn't him. The water's still warm from earlier, as if the room itself hasn't caught up to what's changed. He walks up behind me. Slowly. Deliberately. Not touching but close enough to feel. And I don't stop him. You drive me crazy, he whispers. The way you look at me. The way you don't. Like you're constantly biting back something dangerous. I swallow hard. I am. And then I feel it. His fingers barely grazing the back of my arm. It's not a move. It's not even a decision. It's a question. One my body answers before my mind can interfere. I turn toward him. And this time I don't step back. He reaches for my face, his palm brushing my cheek like he's afraid I'll break apart. And maybe I will. But I don't flinch. I close my eyes. His forehead presses to mine. No kiss. Just contact. The kind that crackles with all the things we're trying not to say. And then his voice low and cracked. I have to tell her. My eyes open. Tonight, he says. And I believe him. But belief doesn't make it easier. He left that night. Not with a dramatic exit, not with some cinematic glance back, but with stillness. One last breath shared between us, and a promise that hung in the air long after the door clicked shut. I didn't sleep. I just lay there, heart tangled, nerves frayed, the silence in my apartment louder than anything he could have said. I didn't know what telling her would look like. I didn't know what the fallout would be. I only knew that everything had changed. And not just because he touched my hand or whispered things I shouldn't have let myself believe. It was the way he looked at me. Like I wasn't a detour. Like I was the road. By morning my stomach was a mess of guilt and longing, and still no message. No call. My phone stayed heartbreakingly silent. I went through my day numb, distracted, pretending nothing inside me was unraveling thread by thread. But then that night as I was brushing my teeth, he knocked. Once. Twice. Soft. I opened the door slowly, and when I saw him, my chest caved in with relief so sudden it nearly buckled my knees. He looked tired. Wrecked. But lighter. Like someone who'd finally told the truth and didn't know what to do with the silence that followed. She cried, he said, stepping inside without waiting to be invited. Of course she did. I would have too. I didn't lie, he added. I told her everything. That it didn't start with anything. But it became something I couldn't ignore. I didn't know what to say. How do you comfort someone when you're the reason they broke someone else's heart? He stood there in my living room looking like he might fall apart if I touched him, or if I didn't. And in that space between us something shifted. This wasn't about thrill anymore. It wasn't even about lust. It was about need, and clarity, and the ache of finally being seen for who you are, flaws and all. He reached for me again, but this time slower than before, as if asking permission, and I gave it. I stepped into him. Not rushed, not frantic, just inevitable. Our lips didn't crash, they met. Gently, reverently, like something sacred. His hands held my face as if he dreamed of this moment 1,000 times but never believed it could be real. I felt it everywhere. In the bend of my knees, in the curve of my spine, in the slow unraveling of every breath I'd held back since the first time he looked at me like I was more than just someone's friend. It wasn't a kiss that ignited something. It was a kiss that answered something. When we finally pulled apart, I didn't speak. I couldn't. Because the world had narrowed down to the press of his forehead against mine, the echo of his name in my chest, and the quiet certainty that whatever happened next, there was no undoing this. Stay with me tonight. It wasn't a command. It wasn't even a request. It was a question, quiet, open, heavy with everything we hadn't said out loud. And I said yes. Not with words but with the way I walked toward him, stepped into his arms, and let my head rest against his chest like it belonged there. Because in that moment it did. He didn't rush. Neither did I. The heat between us simmered slow and steady, like we'd both waited long enough to savor every second. We moved through the apartment like we were learning the shape of each room through each other. Hands trailing across skin like memory, breath shared in the hush between sentences. He kissed me again, this time deeper, slower, like a song we both knew the words to but had never dared to sing aloud. There was no need for declarations. No labels. Just the understanding that this night was no longer about mistakes or secrets. It was about choice. The sheets were cool when we laid down, but our bodies warmed them quickly. We didn't undress with urgency. There were pauses, smiles, small moments of hesitation that made it all feel more real, more human. I watched the way he looked at me. Not like he was trying to claim something, but like he was witnessing something sacred. And I let him. His hand found mine in the dark. Our fingers interlaced like a promise. We're here. We made it. Even if only for tonight. There were no fireworks, no perfect choreography. Just touch and breath and quiet gasps that told a story only we would understand. It wasn't about the act. It was about the unraveling, the way we gave in to something we'd both resisted for far too long. Later, as we lay there tangled in silence, the city humming softly outside the window, I felt the weight of everything we'd done. And I didn't flinch. Instead, I turned to him and whispered, "What now?" He didn't answer right away. His thumb traced slow circles on the back of my hand, grounding me. "Now," he said. "Now we stop pretending we didn't feel this. Even if we don't know what comes next." I nodded. That was enough for now. Because not all stories need neat endings. Some need to breathe, to grow, to break and rebuild. And maybe that's what this would be, something complicated, flawed, and utterly real. Maybe he'd find clarity in the fallout. Maybe I would too. But in that moment, in that bed with his arms around me and the truth finally spoken, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not because we were right, but because for once we were honest.